Now, since I got into the discernment thing, I want to break this down real quick. There are some people that probably going to know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into details because I'm not going to promote any propaganda or anything of Satan, because I could have anybody look at this, get curious, and there are a lot of people that come from a lot of characteristics and traits that they'll find it fascinating and then leave the word of God in the path of righteousness and end up following this. But I do want to say this: King Akhenaton, and even though Satan got all his disciples and the stuff like that, I like to call him Satan's favorite disciple. And the reason being is because there was tablets. If I'm correct, I think there was 13 or so many of these tablets that were found in this Egyptian tomb of King Akhenaton. Never found that man's body, for all those who know the story. But these tablets are on, and you can find them online and download what they say or whatever. And I'm not going to say what they are because I'm not promoting any of that propaganda for Satan. But they're actually Satan's tablets and story, his side of the story that he gave Akhenaton. And he specifically told him that I am the highest star, you guys are the low star, made out of dirt. He speaks of how much he hates us and the atrocities. He even speaks of how Yahweh, the one true God, was asleep, taking a nap, and how they committed all these atrocities and did this because he was asleep and not paying attention, however it goes. And when he woke up, that's what he's seen. He goes on to tell all this other stuff at the end, some chants, and then it even tells you that 3 or 4 of the tablets were so detrimental to the human beings and the nations and the races of the earth that they put them in the Smithsonian so nobody can never see them or read them. Basically, there are technologies and hidden mysteries in there that they don't want you to know. But the great detail in these tablets has Satan upset, because God had let everybody forget who they were, scattered everything, and let them forget about a lot of their ancestral past and worldly knowledge. Satan said he had to basically do this all over again, teach this certain races and certain nations all over again, giving them the technology and doing all this other stuff, and how he was going to go about it in these tablets, okay, that were found in this Akhenaton tomb. Now, if I take that story in these tablets and I take them back to Gilgamesh, that story, all right, for the brother that wants to sit down and think all of these stars are quasars, thinking like a Moabite, acting like a daggone Egyptian, I'm going to be kind to you, because Deuteronomy 23 says that I got to be nice to you because you let us stay in your land. I got to be nice to Esau because that's my brother. So, with that being said, Gilgamesh, even after he got tricked up by the one true God, and that one true God rears his head, tricked it all up, he destroyed whatever, and all this other stuff, the fallen angels and these little 4 kings and all those stuff that were in there were upset and stated, Dad, we got to go back and teach this. They said the same exact thing that Satan said when he was profiting at King Akhenaton. So when I go back and I look at all this stuff, and I look at history, and I see the Dark Ages, the Bronze Ages, and every other kind of ages, then all of a sudden, the Iron Age to the Golden Age, and I see what races and nations only been around for 35,000 years, and that popped up out the clear blue, took over everything. Technology just boomed from out of nowhere, and the building and everything else, and where it exists. When I go and read 2 Kings about the leprosy and all this other stuff, then I can discern. But then when I see the Lord and the one true God state about the fulfillment of the new covenant and those being brought in, so you can never say that, hey, you done stole my promise. No, you got it back. What you gonna do with it? When I see antlers on the wall, just use this Ben Affleck thing that's floating around the news. Look at what he was talking to and the guy with the antlers and stuff like that. You can always tell by the little smallest increments of characteristics and traits. Now, if you see antlers and animals hanging all over them heads and you go back to the Switzerland thing of opening that tunnel, what was they doing? Carrying them same things, doing the ritual. Let's go back to Egyptian tombs and look at all the little drawings, same thing. Let's go back to when we look at all the, what are those people called? They used to have the hood on all the way back in the English days and stuff like that. The little warlocks and all that stuff they used to do the same thing. Let's look at all the Satanists and what they do. Same characteristics and traits. Let's go back to the ship that they found with Constantine and the Romans and all the little dolphins and the sun gods and all this other stuff. Same example. Let's look at the commercials and the movies and how people love to dress their animals up and do all this stuff with every little animal on this earth. Same characteristics and traits. It's all in front of your face. And then little homeboy had the nerve to sit down and say, try something new. Can't always stick on the Bible. Listen, let me tell you something. There ain't no such thing as nothing new until we are brought into the new and you are left with the old burning in the hellfire, homie. You see, that was always the tricks of the Moabites and the Egyptians and everybody else and the Grecians and the Romans. Hey, come on, Hebrews, try something new. See, if you take this word of God with all these people and you put a little economics, a little political thing in there, you get paid, then you can have all these beautiful material things we got. Because they tried something new, what did it bring them? You see, I'm not here to fall back in my ancestors' transgressions. I know who I am. I know my bloodline, and I know the Word of God. And 85% of the people that sit here and watch me or have subscribed are white. And they know their past, and they came into the fulfillment by the fulfillment and walked the path of righteousness with the fulfillment of the Word of God. Because they know what they came from. And they're smart enough to know where they want to go. But see, the Word of God always speaks of the hard-headed, nappy-headed ones. That no matter what you tell them, it's going to be the same old thing. And guess what? This ain't just going to get you into heaven. Because you got to work 10 times harder to prove that you ain't never going to have transgressions and to make it for what your ancestors did. So please don't ever try to tell me to try something new. And please don't kick to me about Siri, Sirius, daggone the Orion, Nibiru, or anything else that's of an alien and some Akhenaton and Anunnaki. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Got me started. I might as well say the Hebrews were a bunch of people that were hanging with E.T. trying to phone home. You lost your rabbit mind. You see, that's why I like to break things down. You have a lot of people that can't understand. You look at these one set of Jamaicans, all right, that came over here hundreds and hundreds of years ago that don't look nothing like them Jamaicans that's over there right now in that land. Because those ones that's in Jamaica right now is the ones that they came from Africa. They probably lived over there for 100 years or something, but they ain't over there. It's 2000. We done got 5. We done got what? It's 2000. So where everything happened in about 1550, 1530, 1600. So let's look at all them years. Then got put into slavery around 1619. So you tell me who was all a part of that? Because if you knew in America and only been here for 100 years, hey, that goes to show you and tell you. If you got dropped off in other places and didn't have to go through any atrocities and was just hanging and having fun, hey, that goes to show and tell you. If they got left behind, that means they committed a whole bunch of atrocities, and that's why they're going through what they're going through, and they still in that land. Please. Because there are brothers out here that know more about them hieroglyphs and everything else. and every other evil atrocity and swear up and down they got something to do with the word of God, and they got a daggone thing to do with it. You got other people trying to sway, doing research, not realizing that this ain't no game no more. People gonna put down all kinds of stuff on the internet. That's why it says, whatever you do, do it wisely. God gives you $1 million, use it wisely, because as soon as you start getting atrocities and he don't bless you with that, hey, that same $1 million you got blessed with is the same $1 million that you're gonna die by. If you got this technology and you're looking online, you pray, you find discernment, you search, and then you use it wisely. You don't soak up every other thing that you see. That's the first thing that I did. I was not no online person or nothing like that. God had woke me up, Satan hurried up and tried to railroad me. He had me looking at all this Sandy Hook stuff and everything else. I done hit my dad up, told him, hey, them little kids ain't died, they still alive and all that. Because I looked at the trickery of the internet and fell right into the trap. Then that's when I had to go and start finding discernment, because I wasn't doing stuff by God's will. I was trying to do it on my own. Once I let God take control of my life and then guide me with that spiritual discernment, that's when I started weaving out everything. Now I can look at something for 2 seconds and go, man, I don't want to watch. I don't even want to finish listening to it, because it doesn't fit into the Spirit of God. And there is no way to try something new when he gave you the old covenant, which fitted in with the new, and that path of righteousness. And even the old and the new covenant stays on the straight path. It starts off with the genealogy and finishes off and starts back off with the genealogy all the way up to the end. And Isaiah sat down and told you the whole kit and caboodle. Don't tell me to try nothing new, and don't sit down and try to come up with all this mysticism and the whole 9 yards. I'm not here to shove this down your throat. I'm not here to put a bottle in your mouth, burp you, and bathe you like a little baby. And I'm dag sure enough not here to put a gun in your head and make you do something. Your spirit should tell you what you need to do and what you want to do. All right? So if you ain't found no understanding within the Word of God, and you cannot see what I talk about when I'm talking about, then guess what? You already part of the weaving. Might as well put you in the sifter and keep on sifting. All right? That's why you sift on down to the hellfire. So go ahead and believe and think whatever you want to think. But see, the powers that be know what these tablets say. They know certain things. And all they have to do is match it up to what races and nations have conquered, have had technology, have done this, because Satan already predicted in them times how he had to do it because of what God has done. How he had to go back and start all over again by teaching people all this other stuff. Didn't it tell you in the beginning that the fallen angels taught the women all the tricks and the trades and all the plants and the herbs and the sorcery and everything else, and the stars and the quasars, and made up all these other gods, and there was 200 of them that fell. So each one of them had their own religion, because each one of them had their own set to turn around and have everybody have this belief. Then you turn around and you look at some of the people from India, some of the people Japanese and Chinese. Look at all those religions, even though they got a certain name, they all got to do with Star Child, this, that, and the third, and the whole 9 yards. Stop the atrocity, because I do not fit in, and neither does anybody, Hebrew, Israelite, or Gentile, fit into any of those things that do not have anything with the Word of God. And anything that is spoken of that has anything to do with aliens and all these stars and the whole 9 yards, word up, is not of God. He hated that. So how in the heck you think you're going to get God to love you and accept you, and you doing something that he detested and spoke against? And guess what? Even with Esau being the one he hated, he still said 3 generations of doing righteousness, treating these people right, and coming into the fulfillment, then you can come into the priesthood after 3 generations. But he said the Moabites, hey, same people Lot's kid, same color, I got the picture up there, what they look like. He said they ain't never allowed in the priesthood. Oh, they can believe and have faith and walk and come in, but they ain't never, ever, ever allowed in the priesthood. So this is why I said not every black person is the same. Get it right, brother.